million years since I've seen that music video and since I've gotten to hang with one of our great friends who is back, a 9-year NFL veteran, defensive back playing with the Patriots, the Panthers, and the Colts, who we have to talk about right now. He's the co-host of the Man to Man podcast and the pride of South Florida. Darius Butler, how are you, my friend?
I am great. It's been way too long, Kay. Happy to be back.
Yeah.
I'm enjoying my summer, but football is close enough. We can smell it. It's right around the corner.
What have you been doing?
Come on, Kay. You already. I've been golfing. All right. I've been golfing. My golf game is, it's right where I had a goal set going into the fall.
Okay.
I reached my goal, which is break 90, be around 90 on the golf course. I'm not sure if you know what that means or not.
Nope.
But I'm there. So now I just got to sustain it throughout the fall now that football season's here and I got to start working again.
So we had super influencer, babe, golf, like knowledgeable, like I don't even know, force, Paige Sporonic on the show on Friday.
Paige is awesome.
Yeah, and we were talking about, I had NFL players saying like she smoked me in Tahoe. Like she could, like I'm not kidding, like she's the real deal. And she told me that if you're good at putt-putt, like if you're good at mini golf, then you would suck at real golf. Do you agree?
I wouldn't say that, but look, Paige is the pro. I'm not the pro here. I'm still an amateur. But what I will tell you is, and a common misconception, a lot of people want to start off the tee, trying to drive it 300-plus yards. You got to learn the game from the greens out, all right? Start on your putting, work on your chipping, and then that 150 in the end game, that's where you win or lose these matches. So, but I'll take anything Paige says. Yeah. That's gold to me when it comes to golf, for sure.
Paige has golf instruction videos on her website. It's called Only Paige instead of OnlyFans. She's like doing her thing, getting those bags.
I'm sure they do well, Kay. I'm sure they do well.
They do pretty well. I'm going to actually put that champagne video behind her paywall and just get residuals. It's great. Listen to me, Darius. Stick with me. I wanted to make a segue from she has instructional videos, and she's a teacher, and now somebody else is as well. I don't know if you saw the latest news this morning about Peyton Manning, okay, star on and off the field at the University of Tennessee. He's going back as a professor, okay? He's going to be with the College of Communication and Info. He's going to join select classes as a featured expert and sort of help people, I don't even know. I don't know what he's going to do. What do you think about this?
Interesting. Very, very interesting. Obviously, this guy as wealthy as Peyton, he can kind of do and choose what he wants to do with his time. And one of his biggest strengths as a quarterback was his communication. I was never a teammate of his, but I played with a bunch of his former teammates and obviously played against them a few times. And that was something you grew up as a kid. If you played defense like I did, you grew up and you couldn't wait until you were actually on the field across from Peyton Manning, the sheriff, just communicating with absolutely everybody on the field and the rest of his home crowd being dead silent. So I would anticipate much of the same down there in Tennessee. I'm sure there'll be, full notepads out, listening to the sheriff give instruction out there. It's pretty dope, though, to see Peyton doing that.
Did you ever pick him off?
I did.
Oh,
One of my most memorable interceptions. I should have hit. I didn't know we were going to talk about
Neither
Peyton.
did I.
I would definitely hit somebody to have that B-roll up. But Lucas Oil, actually, let me tell you a story real quick, Kay. Lucas Oil Stadium, Peyton Manning is 3 yards shy, 6 minutes left, 6 minutes change, 3 yards shy of breaking a quarterback that used to play in Green Berets, all-time passing record. I pick him off. He doesn't break the record. He has to wait until the following week to break it. Not in the stadium that he built. So, yes, I picked Peyton Manning off. It was one of my favorite plays of Peyton, over route, one of his favorite routes. So, yes, I got the sheriff.
That's epic. He's failing you, though. You're getting a D on any paper you turn into him in college, then. I think that's cool. We're asking on social, everybody, which NFL voice personality, maybe it's Darius Butler, maybe it's Pat McAfee, maybe it's Al Michaels, who I would love to listen to for an hour. Which NFL personality would make the best professor?
Oh, somebody's got to keep you up, number one.
Yeah.
NFL personality. Pat is easy. You definitely, Pat McAfee's obviously going to keep the crowd engaged. He'll be, so Pat would be obviously number one. I guess I would just stop there, Pat.
Yeah.
Can't go wrong with Pat.
Can't go wrong with Pat. Pat, Pat, Pat doesn't do enough. You don't have enough on your plate. You're not busy. You should be a professor.
He's got a new kid at home. He's got a new daughter. I don't think he'll have too much time to be doing that anytime soon, but I'm sure he'll kill that role just like he kills all the other ones.
Maybe eventually. All right, let's get to it here. Anthony Richardson, he gave us the ups and downs, right? He gave us the full rookie Anthony Richardson experience. He threw I think it was an interception, right? It was early in the game, but with what you saw, did his performance pass your eye test?
Yeah, definitely still passed the eye test. I expected some type of struggles. Obviously, rookie quarterback didn't play a ton even in college. Doesn't have a bunch of starts under his belt. So there will be some growing pains, but he has that, athletic ability to extend plays and make plays. And he made some great throws, honestly, in that game, too. Some of the receivers didn't come down with some of these catches, but making reads, making throws, and getting those first jitters out as a preseason, NFL preseason game is a completely different environment for him as a quarterback, all those different things you have to do in the huddle, pre-snap, and then post-snap. But he definitely passed the eye test. Obviously, it's going to be very important, I think, for the coach for Jonathan Taylor to get healthy and then to figure out that situation and have him back there to help this young quarterback come along. But he definitely passed my test. There will be some struggles this year, but I think we'll still be good enough to win at least, a good 8-9 games in the AFC South.
8 or 9 games would be really nice for them as they're rebuilding, and we don't know what's going on with Jonathan Taylor, like you're saying. Now, hopefully that's what happens with them, and they maybe keep their coach around. That'd be nice to see Irsay
putting good energy out
do as well. You always are. The bucket hat thing with Sean Payton. My friend Jimmy Palmtrees of NFL Media, he puts out the list of Sean Payton, a maniac, a true madman. Sean Payton. He had the rules of what he doesn't want to see. I don't want to see fun. I don't want to see a smile. I don't want to see a bucket hat. Do we have this list, guys? The preseason rules. Do we have it? I don't think so. Okay, here it is. All right. So, uniforms off after you're done playing. No sunglasses, which I think is ridiculous. You're protecting your eyes. Have you ever heard of the sun, UV, climate change? Are you a non-believer in climate change, Sean Payton? No interviews during the game. Woof. I did yoga with Chris Jones in the middle of a preseason game, and it went viral. What are you doing, Sean? No Gilligan hats, as he says. Now, I have to ask you, are you pro or anti-bucket hat?
Oh, big bucket hat guy. Big pro, Gilligan hat, bucket hat, whatever you want to call it.
There you go.
Big bucket hat guy. Hey, okay. Hey, there we go. Solid. That was a throwback 90s, 80s, a 90s party, I believe. Had the solid polo bucket. But yeah, big bucket hat guy for sure. Shout out to Ty. That was his birthday party, my best friend. But, this is Sean Payton. Just being a hard ass. He's back in the coaching booth. He's out of the TV booth. He's off of the up and at him stage now. Yeah. Back on the sideline, laying down the law. I think he's a Bill Parcells guy.
He is.
So this is kind of right along that, that stand.
Okay, This is the same guy, Darius, who has a broom and is doing the sweep dance with Teddy Bridgewater. And this is the dude that is doing the choppa. Yeah. And this is the dude that rolls in $250K in dollar bills or something to motivate his players to incentivize them for their bonuses. I thought he's known as the fun coach.
No, you gotta have some range. Belichick, surprisingly, I played for Belichick for a couple years. Obviously strict, another Parcells guy, very, very strict, but he would have times where he let his hair down and have some fun. And I think, there are some things you definitely have to evolve and do some different things with new players. But obviously, Sean Payton, he's not with the riffraff, okay?
Right.
None of this sunglasses. Look, we got a lot of stuff to turn around this Denver Broncos team, this organization. He's been pretty vocal about that. I think too vocal at times. But I think a lot of these things, and they had the Garrett Wilson thing up and saying, hey, was Garrett Wilson trolling?
Was
Sean
he?
Payton is the great. No. Okay, I know it's August 14th, and we may still be reaching for some headlines being this close to the season, but no. And that's the reason why Sean Payton made the list in the first place, because this is what's going on NFL sidelines. You got the shades, you got the jury, you got the bucket hat, you got interviews. Some coaches are cool with that. Some coaches are definitely not. So I think you can probably find, 100 shots at different random players from preseason week 1 that had that same sideline garb on that Garrett Wilson did.
I think you're going to see a lot of bucket hats from the opposing team fans, I think you're going to see it at least early into the season, and you're definitely going to see it
We'll forget
Was
about
it week 5, Jets Broncos, I believe? I believe it is. After
now,
Jets
week 5,
Kansas City Sunday night, week 4. Then they go on to face their division rival. It's going to be a bucket hat palooza. I promise you. And that one's in Denver.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's going to be a lot going on leading into that game. But I think by then we'll be well forgotten about these bucket hats by then for sure.
What'd you make of Russell Wilson playing all that time?
I mean, I'm alarmed. I'm concerned. I'm very concerned. Now, these are 2 Hall of Famers in my opinion. Sean Payton will be a Hall of Famer one day. I think Russell Wilson will be a Hall of Famer one day as well. But I mean, philosophically, Russell Wilson's all about instinct and extending plays and making plays with his legs. And I mean, at least the great Russell Wilson that we know. And Sean Payton's offense is all about timing, getting back to that spot, hitting the receivers in their spot, having a good run game, getting the ball where it's supposed to be. So can Russell Wilson evolve into that type of quarterback at this point in his career? He obviously should. And then how much will Sean Payton evolve his offense to fit Russell Wilson's strength? That's going to be something we're going to have to keep an eye on with these 2. But him playing, deep into the second quarter in preseason game 1, I know he had the touchdown pass, but I think that was halfway through the second quarter to Jerry Jeudy. So, yeah, I'm very alarmed, very concerned with what's going on in Denver right now. And the preseason, look, I don't like to overreact to preseason. Preseason football is kind of like the QB win stat. You kind of use it where you need to. It works one argument, and maybe it worked a little different in this argument. But for a quarterback that's been in the league this long, I don't want to see him playing into the second quarter of preseason game 1. And I don't care what he does at that point when he's in the game.
I mean, yeah, the highlights were of him running around. But do you really, I mean, I know Russell's not old, but Russell is no spring chicken. Like, do you want Russell running around freelancing year 12 of his career? I feel like the meat of the production was still, play action, which I like to see.
Yeah, I still want to see him moving around, though. I think that's the best version of Russell Wilson. You can't completely, change your stripes. Now, once again, as you get older in your career, in year 12, he is in better shape. You can see that. Anybody can see that with eyes. So, but you don't want to lose that part of your game, but you have to get better, getting back to that spot, getting to the pocket, and hitting those targets on time. That's what Drew Brees have all these records that he has with Sean Payton being his play caller. So they need to mesh, obviously, at some point. The sooner the better with this team, especially with kind of the target I think Coach Payton has put on this franchise's back.
So I think that, and I called this right when this happened with that match, not called it, but there's no more fascinating quarterback-coach duo than these 2. Like, you've got a reckless pirate, and he's shown that this past 2 months. And then you have, the Wonder Boy doing squats in the aisles of the airplane, who's earnest and he's who he is. You're saying they have to mesh. Like, whose job is it to mesh more to the other? Like, they can evolve together, that's fine. But you got to think, like, the coach, like, I want the coach to play to the quarterback and get the best out of his quarterback? Or should the coach be like, no, you adhere to me? Like, don't the best coaches get the best out of their players?
Exactly. That's exactly what happens. Just like, Andy Reid, we saw him with a ton of different quarterbacks. And Patrick Mahomes, his skill set, a lot of things Patrick Mahomes does is because Andy Reid allows him to be, Patrick Mahomes. He didn't try to put him into this box. And Sean Payton's a great coach. He's forgotten more football than we'll ever know. So I'm sure he'll do his fair share of doing that with Russell Wilson as well. But you got to meet somewhere close to the middle, in my opinion. I don't think Russell Wilson will ever be Drew Brees, and I don't think Sean Payton should coach him exactly like Drew Brees. There are things and staples that you bring over, but you got to kind of build this offense and the play calls that you're doing with this offense differently when you're playing with a guy like Russell Wilson. But the good thing is they have talent. They paid some of their O-line. They got good receivers in the room, and you got a good defense as well, who last year, if you scored 20 points a game, you probably win 11 games. So you don't have to go out there and light the scoreboard up every week. So that's a very, very good thing for this offense to continue to grow. Because you pay a quarterback that type of money, you're going to have to do some evolving with how he plays the game as well.
So a couple of things, couple of follows here. I'm trying to go see Coach Payton this week, okay? I'm trying to, have a little sit down with him, what should I ask him? Like, what would you want to know from Coach?
Man, what would I want to know from Coach?
Yeah.
You know what? I don't know. It would be all Russell Wilson questions, honestly. Like, what do you, and you know, how honest will he be? He was a little bit too honest with USA Today. So how honest will he be sitting down with Kay on camera? But I really want to know, okay, what are the type of things that Russell, hey, I have to have these type of things in my offense. And then what are the type of things that you say to Russell, hey, you have to do these type of things. I know you haven't done it in your career. So I want to know just more of the ins and outs when it comes there, because preseason, once again, we can overreact all we want. We're not going to see the real thing until we get to week 1. And once, like I said at the beginning, these are 2 Hall of Famers in their respective position, coach and quarterback. So I think they get it together somewhat and at least have field a competitive offense, which they didn't do at all last year, from week 1 to week freaking 18. It's embarrassing.
It's true, and they sort of know that, and I think a lot of the locker room was sort of fed up with that, and that's what led him to make some of those remarks, as we all kind of heard. The AFC West is fascinating to me. I didn't go to Kansas City. I might go to the Broncos. I didn't get to go visit the Raiders, but I was out with the Chargers in Costa Mesa, and Herbert looks insane. He is healthy. All the receivers are like 9 feet tall. Like Kellen Moore's gonna let it rip. Top to bottom, they're much more talented, I think, than any other team in the division. And it's just gonna come down to coaching. I think it's all on Brandon Staley versus what?
No, it's just a huge year for Brandon Staley.
Oh, yeah.
Look, I've been a Chargers fan for 3 years now since Herbert took over, basically, because I was just blown away from the first time I saw him on the NFL field. But, I mean, it's like, even now, I'm only 3 years into this thing. It's like, oh, man, you look at this roster. You look, they can compete. You see them go toe-to-toe with Mahomes and the Chiefs a couple times already. Like, what's in the way of them getting over the hump? You saw them blow a 27-point lead in the playoffs last year. That terrible, terrible taste in your mouth to go into this year. But you have the talent. Can Bosa stay healthy? You get another year out of Mac, J.C. Jackson. So much talent up and down this roster on both sides of the ball. Quentin Johnston.
Let's go. I'm talking about it today.
The first-round pick.
Love him.
Like, man, it's all there. Justin Herbert's now, he's the highest-paid quarterback in the league. But big year, I think, for Brandon Staley. We know how the NFL is.
Yeah.
With you having a roster like this, you got to win, and you got to win now.
Yeah, and especially when you have Sean Payton come into the division. Sean Payton, who was rumored to be interested in the LA Chargers job when he was making his transition from Fox, where he was in LA every weekend, before taking ultimately that Broncos gig. It's going to come down to, like, Andy Reid, of course, you know, they're taking a big risk, I think, by not adding a ton with their receiving core. If they're putting it all on Kadarius Toney. Now you got Quentin Johnston on his own is going to be potentially a stud. Now he's got Keenan Allen and he's got Mike Williams, who have dealt with some injury history. So there's a good chance that Quentin Johnston, and I hope he gets lots of reps, if we saw a touchdown over the weekend, like, he could be that 1A easily in a couple of games at least this offseason. It's all going to come down to the coaching and what that means. But I will say, I think the gap is narrowing a little bit. And Chiefs fans, of course, you're at the top. You have the best quarterback. You have the best coach. But even Chiefs fans, I feel like, are reacting to the Chargers a little bit more hostilely instead of joking about how bad they are, because I think that they are seeing that they have the talent. Another standout I'll just put out here, we'll talk about it more in the given weeks, like Eric Kendricks leaving Minnesota and going and joining, that is a piece that's going to help it all on defense. They couldn't stop the run even a little bit, but he will be all over the field and helping everybody elevate their game. And I think that he's a really special player who's nobody's talking about, that's going to make a big difference in that AFC West.
Yeah, he's been a great player for a long time in this league that kind of has flown under the radar. So to get a guy like that with the amount of reps that he has under his belt, to get guys lined up, and that is one of their biggest weaknesses, stopping that run. That's going to be big. But, I mean, going back to Quentin Johnston, being the third option now, Mike Williams, Keenan Allen both dealt with injuries, like you said, but he'll have a chance to develop as a young receiver in this league, getting a ton of one-on-one matchups, right? He's not coming in the league where guys are going to have to lean his way, like Jordan Addison as well. Jordan Addison's in a great situation. Trust me, they're going to be putting 2-3 guys on Justin Jefferson. So he'll have every opportunity to develop, especially with a quarterback like Herbert, who has shown in every start he will throw the ball to anybody that's open. It could be Palmer, Eckler, anybody that's on the field open. Justin Herbert's going to you regardless of the situation. So great situation for Quentin out there.
I want to talk about another receiver that's out there that I think is kind of divisive for DBs, and you're our DB guy, so I want to ask you about him. Because he's kind of mean to y'all. Okay, but he keeps showing up and making big plays, and I'm talking about George Pickens. You already know. So, I mean, look at this laser that he snapped from Kenny Pickett. He runs right through the Bucs defense for the score. I think there we go. Are you in on the Pickens experience? How does it make you feel?
I'm in. I'm all the way in. He was a dog, and you hear about a lot of those Georgia Bulldogs. You know, when you hear about his former college teammates that talk about him in the way that they talk about him and rave about him. And you've seen the talent. You've seen him on an NFL field during the regular season. You see too many practice clips for my liking. I don't like my DBs shown getting tossed around and moss like that in practice.
Look at this.
Because, oh my God, no.
I mean, and he was not. This is not very nice to do to Joey Porter Jr. If you're Porter, what are you doing?
You line up again. Look, that's the name. It's the nature of the beast. You line up again. I'm sure Joey Porter Jr. has won his fair share of reps in practice, but we're only going to see the ones that George Pickens, makes. This is an offensive league. We know what it is, but he's a star. I think he's a stud, and it's going to be huge for Pickett to Pickens for that connection to continue to grow. For the Steelers to have some success, because that division, I mean, you look at that division, they're the absolute juggernaut. Obviously, you have Mike Tomlin at the top, who's been a great, steady head coach in this league for a long time. But you look at the quarterbacks in that division, it's tough sledding every week for sure.
I'm looking at my tweets from go ahead. Matt. What are you about to say?
One of my Super Bowl teams are coming out of that division. From the AFC. I don't know. It might be too early to call that yet.
Does it rhyme with Schmangles?
I mean, Kay, we got a few more shows before the season starts. I got to do a little bit more research, but I'll get back to you.
Listen, the crazy thing is, if we weren't all obsessed with Aaron Rodgers and the Jets, and that's the whole world right now, and all anyone's talking about, don't you think every day we'd be talking about Odell and the Ravens? Odell
Damn it, we would, and that's them. You got me. It's the Ravens. I love everything they've done this off. You squeeze it out of it, Kay. It's the Ravens.
I'm so good at my job.
Lamar's back.
Right.
You got Odell. The last time we saw him healthy on the field, he took a full year off to recover. I love him being back out there with Odell. Todd Monken. And now the offense, the style of offense is the biggest question. Zay Flowers, another tremendous talent coming into the league. Everything we've heard from him has been great. Bateman, still a lot to see there.
Yeah.
The tight end room, Mark Andrews, Isaiah Likely. We got Josh Dobbins, J.K. Dobbins, I'm sorry. Get out there, get healthy, ball
Odell's
out,
Twitter?
then get your money. But, I mean, and then the defense, historically, they've always figured it out on defense. And then once again, John Harbaugh has been a great coach. Super Bowl winning coach in this league. So, I mean, that team, I love everything about it. I think Lamar Jackson has another MVP caliber year this year. But they're my representatives out of the AFC to make appearances.
Odell, I mean, I like Odell. I have to look at this. I don't know why it's not in order here. He's been tweeting things. And I just remember there was a time when I'd be on Good Morning Football, and it would be 6:58 before we went on the air, and it would be, Odell tweeted. Get it on the air. And we'd have to, and it was just, it would derail everything. And it was on the top of it. So anything, I mean, Odell, oh gosh, well, now he's tweeting about, he's got takes. I don't want to talk about these.
I saw him going back and forth with Tyler Boyd, talking about what he was going to do in the Super Bowl. I saw him talk about this may potentially be his last year.
Gratitude.
I saw
Action Jackson 8. Blank really crazy. I can't read. I love the days that all of these tweets, like we would be losing our shit over these if it wasn't for Aaron Rodgers. And I think the Ravens are going to thank the team up there in the AFC East for all of this because they're such a huge threat. Outside of that, they shouldn't be sneaky. They should be talked about way more. It's very weird. Tough division though.
They shouldn't be. You got a former MVP in his prime, one of the highest paid quarterbacks in the league for a reason, one of the best records when it comes to QB wins.
And you're Super Bowl champion.
No, I won't say champion, but they will make an appearance, I believe. I just think it's their year to make that run It's all lining up. It looks great on paper. Obviously, you got to go out there and produce. They'll have a tough road to it, obviously, through that AFC North division.
Yeah.
But I'm very, very, very high on the Baltimore Ravens this year, for sure.
And that, I mean, will Odell be the Lionel Messi, you know, to Miami? Will he be that? Will he be, or will it be, You're the best, Darius. We appreciate you joining us. Hey, thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest Up and Adams content right on YouTube.